Hey there, this is Ben from patternprofits.net bringing you the weekly watch list. Taking a look at IWO here. We're in good shape, back above anchored VWAP from off of the high. We've also cleared that descending trend line on Friday, back above or very close to it, back above the point of control right there at the volume shelf. Couple pivots above 315.98 and 319.20 to be aware of if we're making some upside progress early in the week. We do have the Fed and OPEX this week, so maybe a bit choppy, but we'll keep an eye on this. We are in good shape here heading into the start of the week. We'll get right into our watch list. Again, going to point out Playboy, which late in the week, after the secondary announcement, weakness there, it did find support again, anchored VWAP from off of the low, which it's done several times over the last month and a half. That area has acted as support right there at the volume shelf point of control. What we want to see is this come out of this pinch push where you have a descending trend line now to be aware of, but see if we can make some upside progress and get back out of this pinch. If the buyers post-secondary want to come back in there. Another one watching next week, NVCR. I'm encouraged because I have a lot more focus list names this week than I've had the last couple of weeks. So quite a few of the higher quality fundamental stocks shaping up nicely. Looks like we could have another wave of growth leaders start to break out. 220.48 the pivot here. This would look nicer if it forms a little right shoulder or handle here, but you do have an inside day here. So if it comes out of that inside day, strong, good chance it pushes right through that 220.48 pivot. NVCR, also a high quality fundamental stock as well. APO, we've talked about this one the last few weeks, and one of these days, this consolidation up here, which is now like 6 weeks tight, is going to come out of here. If you move this over to a line chart, you'll see that we did kind of push through that descending trend line. You can't really see it unless you get on line chart. It looks sloppy, but maybe that's the signal to finally get this going and push through that 58.49 pivot. We'll see if we can get some continuation there early next week. I also have FUTU, FUTU. And on this one, we came back and now retested, and it's on very light volume. We retested that anchored VWAP off of the high, and we want to look for that to push back above the volume shelf point of control here. You have a couple pivots, 178.18 and 204.25 above to be aware of. You do have a descending trend line there above too, but this did come a long way. So I don't mind this flag on light volume here. You also had GroupMate TIGR announce a secondary, may have contributed to why this one finally came in and took a breather. But I don't mind this consolidation at all. I'm especially looking for it to come out of there with some strength. Besides FUTU, I'm going to point out SSP just because we've been talking about it each week in this big triangle consolidation. I do not have as much confidence in this one now. Usually when they come down all the way to the apex here before they break out, it's not with as much power as when they come out 3/4 of the way through. I was looking for that move back here, but it's going to make a move one way or the other. I just like when it happens further back. So I did want to mention that because we've had it on the radar the last couple weeks. One I am more encouraged about, Skills. I really like this setup into next week. You have anchored VWAP from off of the high. This is the anchored VWAP from the IPO. It took that out here on big volume. Now coming back, testing that level. You have an inside day. Double bottom pattern here, 21.69 pivot. Even though the right side didn't shake out like we like to see below this level, I do like how this looks coming back, easing up on declining volume after the big volume move here. 10 MA right there underneath this inside day comes out back above that 2169 pivot. I like that idea, probably my favorite idea into next week. I also have Zim, more of a trade idea here. It's extended, but the way it's setting up, ascending triangle up high, 47.37 pivot. Look for it to come through that, breakout into new highs. I think that one is good for a trade. Bring this over, you'll see volume shelf just below. Maybe it comes back one more time before pushing through, but definitely one you're going to want to keep an eye on early next week. I also have AVTR, another that Friday's action, very encouraging. This is actually an inside day, but it closed right up near the highs. You have that inside day comes out. You have a 33.99 pivot above. I think coming out of this inside day may set up for a bigger move through that pivot, one to keep an eye on. I also have, it's a little early on this one, but GNRC, Generac, nice consolidation here, and would look even better if it comes up here to 364.09, puts in a little handle, and then goes, but I want you to keep it on the radar. You've got a couple nice little volume pops. It looks small compared to this back here, but they are above average. You had even a gap here. And so looking for that one to clear that 364.09 pivot. Keep it on your radar just in case it doesn't form that handle and just decides to go. Larger consolidation and excellent fundamentals. Let's move over to power earnings gap name, Skechers. This one, we finally got a move back above anchored VWAP from off of the power earnings gap. Now we look for this to come sideways, ideally on easing volume. Turn that anchored VWAP back up. You have the volume shelf, point of control just below. And this would look really nice if it goes sideways for a few days. Turn that up. Allow the 1020 MA cloud to catch up a little bit. So one to keep on your radar. Probably by midweek, we'll discuss it over on FinTwit. We'll keep tabs on it. Carter's, another one I'm watching. Bigger pattern here is the VWAP pinch from off of the low here and off of the high here. You have the pinch. I use handoff method here where it tags right here, and that's acting as support here most recently. So it does look like we're good. Kind of flat here, anchored VWAP. Volume shelf, point of control just below. Look for that one to come out of the pinch early next week. I also have Dix. We've been talking about this one and that century mark, how it's battling to push through that century mark. And now you've got it close above. It was 116 cents. It closed on Friday. You have a all-time high there of 101.30. So looking for this one to push through, really get through 100 and then challenge that prior high at 101.30. Again, that group has been really strong. ASO, BGFE, quite a few of them in that group that have been acting well. Lastly, I have SIG. This one, power earnings gap, good follow through on day two. Right there at the high from the power earnings gap, 74.80. This one comes through that high. We know they're very aggressive on the buy side here. So one to keep an eye on for a breakout early next week. If you did not catch the Trader Lion Trader Conference over the weekend, I highly recommend that. A bunch of great traders, great presentations. There really was something for everyone over the weekend. That recording's available, Trader Lion channel on YouTube. Again, I highly recommend taking your time, going through those presentations, and learning from truly some outstanding, talented traders. It was a fantastic discussion. That's all I've got. I will see you guys over on FinTwit. Have a great trading week.